As I sat at home going through my usual daily routine, I received the mysterious package in the post. There was no return address, only my name handwritten in elegant calligraphy. Curiosity overwhelmed me as I tore open the package to find an ornate, black envelope inside. The invitation it held would change my life forever. The envelope seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy as I carefully opened it. Inside, a single sheet of aged parchment revealed itself, bearing a message that sent shivers down my spine. It read, "You are cordially invited to attend an exclusive gathering at the notorious mansion on Elmwood Hill. The night will be filled with mystery, excitement, and unparalleled terror. Your presence is requested to experience the true essence of fear. Please RSVP by the stroke of midnight, and prepare yourself for an unforgettable evening." The words on the parchment were cryptic and foreboding, yet a strange allure compelled me to accept the invitation. There was an undeniable thrill that coursed through my veins, enticing me to step into the unknown. Ignoring the warnings of reason, I sealed my fate by sending my RSVP before the clock struck midnight. With trepidation in my heart, I set off towards the mansion on Elmwood Hill. The night was cold and ominous, with a thick fog swirling through the trees, creating an eerie atmosphere. The road leading to the mansion seemed to stretch on forever, lined with twisted branches that reached out like gnarled fingers. As I approached the grand iron gates, I couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding, as if the very air whispered warnings in my ear. As I stepped onto the cobbled path, the crunch of leaves beneath my feet echoed eerily through the stillness. The mansion loomed before me, an imposing figure that stood against the darkened sky. Its windows, black and soulless, seemed to watch my every move. Pushing open the heavy oak doors, I entered the grand foyer, bathed in the soft glow of candlelight. Shadows danced along the walls, casting haunting silhouettes of forgotten memories. The air was heavy with anticipation, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister awaited me within these walls. As I made my way through the labyrinthine corridors, each step I took sent chills down my spine. The walls whispered secrets of past tragedies, and the portraits that lined them seemed to come alive with disapproving gazes. I was but a pawn in a malevolent game, surrounded by an unyielding darkness that clung to me like a shroud. Every room I entered held its own sense of macabre beauty. Paintings depicted scenes of horror and despair, while antique furniture creaked and groaned as if in agony. The scent of decay lingered in the air, overpowering my senses and filling me with unease. It was as if the very essence of fear had seeped into the very walls of this place. As I explored further, I stumbled upon a hidden chamber. Its door, a portal to the unknown, beckoned me with an irresistible allure. With a mixture of curiosity and dread, I cautiously pushed open the door, only to find myself faced with a descending staircase, disappearing into the depths of darkness below. Reluctantly, I descended into the abyss, the faint glow of candlelight barely illuminating my path. The air grew colder, the atmosphere more oppressive with every step. A feeling of suffocation settled upon me, as if the walls themselves were closing in, tightening their grip on my very soul. As I explored the dark, haunted corridors of the mansion, strange occurrences began to unfold before my eyes. Whispers echoed through the hallways as if the very walls held secrets too horrifying to share. Cold drafts swept past me, even though there were no open windows or doors. Objects would mysteriously move, shifting from their original places when my back was turned. It was as if an invisible presence was playing tricks on my mind, taunting me with its otherworldly power. But it wasn't just the physical world that was twisted within these walls. In the depths of the mansion, time seemed to lose all meaning. Clocks would spin backwards, their hands moving in an eerie, unnatural dance. Shadows flickered and morphed into grotesque shapes, dancing along the walls as if possessed by some unseen force, and the very air seemed to thicken, making it hard to breathe, as if the darkness itself was alive and closing in on me. And then there were the sounds, distant screams, maniacal laughter, and mournful wars that filled the air. They echoed through the mansion, chilling me to the bone. I couldn't escape the feeling that the house itself was alive, feeding off my fear and using it to fuel its sinister games. Every corner I turned, every room I entered, there was a new manifestation of horror. Ghostly apparitions would materialize, their twisted forms fading in and out of existence. Eerie laughter would reverberate through the hallways, bouncing off the walls and into my very soul. It was as if the mansion itself was alive, a malevolent being that reveled in my terror. As I continued to navigate the endless corridors of the mansion, a sense of overwhelming dread consumed me. It was as if the walls themselves were closing in, suffocating me with their malevolent presence. Each step I took felt heavier, as if an invisible force was pulling me deeper into the heart of darkness. The once grand and elegant rooms now seemed twisted and distorted, as if the very fabric of reality had been warped. The ornate furniture appeared to contort and leer at me, mocking my feeble attempts to escape. Shadows lurked in every corner, their jagged edges elongating and morphing into grotesque figures that sent shivers down my spine. The air grew thick and oppressive, making it hard to breathe. It was as if the very essence of fear permeated the atmosphere, strangling my every thought. Panic gripped me tightly, its icy grip refusing to let go. I tried to retrace my steps, to find a way back to the familiar comforts of the outside world. But the mansion seemed to have a mind of its own, twisting and turning in on itself, trapping me in a never-ending labyrinth. Each doorway I entered led to another nightmarish room filled with horrifying sights and sound that taunted me relentlessly. I felt like a mouse caught in a trap with no way to escape the clutches of this unholy abode. Every turn I took only led me deeper into the heart of darkness, further away from any hope of salvation. The feeling of being trapped became all-encompassing, suffusing every fibre of my being with despair. The mansion had me in its clutches, and there was no escape in its grasp. Each step I took further into its depths seemed to push me closer to the edge of my sanity. The air grew colder and heavier, making it harder to breathe. The once flickering candlelight that guided my path now seemed to flicker out, leaving me in complete darkness. As I descended into the unknown, the staircase seemed never-ending, the steps creaking and groaning beneath my weight. Every now and then I would catch a glimpse of something moving in the shadows, but when I turned to look, there was nothing there. The darkness seemed to play tricks on my mind, distorting my reality and leaving me questioning what was real and what was just a figment of my imagination. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of my own racing heartbeat. The deeper I went, the more the darkness seemed to consume me, seeping into every crevice of my being. The walls closed in, closing off any hope of escape. It was as if the mansion itself was alive, feeding off my fear and delighting in my descent into madness. Suddenly, a faint glimmer of light appeared in the distance. A small door stood at the end of the staircase, barely visible in the blackness. With a surge of hope, I hurried towards it, my pulse pounding in my ears. As I reached out to touch the doorknob, a bone-chilling whisper echoed through the darkness, sending shivers down my spine. As I continued my terrifying journey through the mansion, the unexplainable phenomena intensified, pushing me further into the depths of horror. Shadows seemed to writhe and twist, taking on grotesque forms that sent chills down my spine. Unseen hands brushed against my skin, icy fingers that left a trail of fear in their wake. The very walls seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy, as if they were alive and feeding off my terror. Whispers echoed through the corridor, their disembodied voices taunting and mocking me. Words that I couldn't quite make out, but their intent was clear. They wanted to break me, to shatter my sanity into 1,000 pieces. The air grew heavy with the stench of decay, as if the very essence of death permeated every inch of this nightmarish place. Time became distorted. with minutes feeling like hours and hours feeling like an eternity. Clocks would tick backwards, their hands moving in a frenzied dance that defied logic. Reality itself seemed to bend and warp as if the mansion was a portal to a world beyond our understanding. I stumbled upon rooms that seemed to defy the laws of physics, ceilings that reached impossible heights stretching into an abyss of darkness, floors that shifted and tilted, making each step treacherous and uncertain. It was as if the very fabric of this house was unstable, a gateway to a dimension where nightmares ruled supreme. The most unsettling phenomena, however, were the apparitions that haunted every corner, figures that seemed to flicker in and out of existence, their faces contorted in agony and despair. They whispered their tales of sorrow and anguish, their mournful cries echoing through the halls. They were the lost souls of the mansion, trapped in eternal torment and seeking solace in the torment of others. My heart pounded in my chest as I entered the final room of the mansion. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the presence of something sinister lurking just beyond the darkness. I knew this was my last chance at escape, and I had to make it count. The room was adorned with faded tapestries and crumbling furniture, but what caught my attention was a door at the far end. It beckoned to me, a glimmer of hope in the sea of despair. With trembling hands, I moved towards it, my every instinct telling me to run, to get as far away from this nightmare as possible. As I reached for the doorknob, a voice whispered in my ear, "There is no escape, not for you." Panic welled up inside me, but I refused to give in to fear. With a burst of adrenaline, I swung the door open and rushed into the unknown. The darkness enveloped me, swallowing me whole. I stumbled blindly, my hands outstretched, desperate for anything to hold on to. Then a faint light appeared, illuminating a narrow staircase. Without hesitation, I climbed, my heart pounding in my ears. The stairs seemed to go on forever, but I pushed through the exhaustion, driven by the need to survive. Finally, I reached the top and burst through a door, gasping for breath. The blinding sunlight greeted me, filling me with a sense of relief and freedom. I collapsed onto the grass outside, my body shaking with exhaustion and relief. The mansion stood behind me, an imposing figure that would forever haunt my dreams. But I had escaped its clutches, emerging from the darkness, stronger and wiser.